Alright, Ed. I wanted to send what I have now because this computer still has really, really shitty graphics compared to the one that I made everything on. So everything looks like terrible, like my shaders. Uh, and I didn't want to add any extra features because I'm already late. So I'm sending you what I had, the day that I was supposed to send you everything. But this one will actually have video now. So, first and foremost, I have the multiple cameras. I use spacebar to cycle between. Here are all my cubes. This camera is for the cubes, so I have the duckweed texture without light on the top left, and then from there going clockwise, it's the wireframe, the regular color, the solid green, the texture with light, and then the three purple cubes on the bottom. The leftmost one is just regular Gorad. Then we have a Fong shader in the middle, and then the blend shader in the middle, and then the Fong shader on the right hand side. And then basically I replicated these 8 shapes for each of the 4 primitives that I'm using. So this camera is the spheres, and everything's in the same exact order. This camera is the pyramids, and I apparently switched the order on this one. It looks like they're upside down. Or excuse me, upside down-ish and backwards. Yeah, whatever. So here's my pyramids. Man, this computer lighting is terrible. Sometimes the lighting works nice with the Gorad and the Fong shaders, but they're not rotating well. But yeah, so last are the cylinders. You can see I have instance objects for everything. I can also switch between. Let me go back to the cubes. That one's easier to see. The duckweed guy changes to the rocks. I have all the 4 regular textured shaders changing at the same time with key presses. That way I can just switch between them and showing that I have instance data across my texture switching. I did not add the reference counting to the textures as I wrote up because I didn't really have time to do it that one day, and again I didn't want to add it. Anyways, the other thing I don't have was the screen graph, mostly because I didn't have any culling. Because that was something we were going to talk about next week, and I didn't want to just call out the objects, attach, the eight objects each camera. I wanted to actually show that the cameras were looking at all the objects, which is why I put them all in the center here instead of having them in separate areas. I also don't have camera movement implemented in this one, just because it was one of those things that I blanked on it when I was doing my write-up. I realized I was missing it, and I just didn't want to add it, although I have it on the earlier versions, which is it's simple. I'll wait till we do the rotation, or the quaternions, before I put the rotating stuff in, instead of hacking in the vector class like you did in class for us. What else? Let me pause real quick so I can look at the write-up that I have, so I can make sure I covered everything. Not sure if what I'm missing, or I probably am missing something. Let me pause real quick and take a look. Alright, Ed, I showed everything that I wanted to show you. Now I'm going to show you the code portion stuff that I did. So I created static classes for each of the models to create my models. I pulled it out of the cube model code and then just threw it all into a static class that I can use to create the cubes. And this is where I have the writing the data to a file. And then because I have the file, it's just reading the data. Basically it's the exact same thing that we did in class. And making sure that we're using the VBOs for, this is the wrong section, we're actually using VBOs. I'm gonna keep that part. It's probably in my graphics object. Hiya! Sorry. Let me open up my graphics object real quick. Oops. Oh, hold on. Wrong. What? 1 second. Yeah, sorry, I was in the wrong portion. It's looking for my draw function, and I lost it. Anyways, yeah. So I'm using the element instead of the arrays. So we're drawing directly out of the VBOs instead of using the GL draw arrays function. Yeah, and then I wanted to show the extra shaders I have. So this is my Gorad shader, where Gorad's nice because it gives us a little bit of light. The only thing I didn't do, which I probably should have done, I think all of my colors are hard coded right now. Not my colors. My light color is hard coded, which is why everything is purple. So between the diffuse albedo and the specular albedo, and the specular power and the ambient light, so all of these should have been uniform vec3s that I'm taking in from the user, which I didn't do. I guess I probably should have done that earlier, but I didn't. So, like using the light position that we I guess I should open up this. When we use a light position to create the lights for each of the objects that we're using lights for, I should have done the same thing for the albedo. I already forgot what they're called now. The diffuse albedo, specular power, and the ambient light, in addition to the position. That way, each of these shaders could have their own specific light to them. I just didn't do that for whatever reason. I wasn't really thinking. So each, between the Gorad, the Fong, and then the blend shader, each of these should have had the extra lights coming in. I just didn't do that. But the Gorad is the one that has the most, where I think Gorad is the only one that requires all of those, where Blend and Fong just need diffuse albedo, specular albedo, and specular power, because they get a light. Or is there a light somewhere else? Probably should look at this beforehand instead of just making it all up for you. Anyways, I'm cutting in, babbling, talking a lot, but yeah. So I have new shaders. I have new shaders for you. I moved out my create models out into separate folders, files, CPPs. Then I'm using static calls within the create so for like my cube model, I just use static functions to create the cube, which just reads the data and sets the data, which these are. I'll go right click. Please work. Right click. Okay, it's not gonna work. Where basically it's doing the file read and writes and setting the data. Set data up here. Alright, so all the stuff that we did in class, but using the static functions to do it. So I pulled out all of the class data, which seemed to be a little bit cleaner instead of keeping within the model code itself. Now I'm just using the helper classes to do that. Okay, I'm getting too long. Okay, I don't think I missed anything else with my reading. So I will send this to you now, and then I'll let you know the Piazza that it's done. Again, thanks for letting me take extra time to do this because of the computer fiasco I ran into. I'm still researching why the Windows 7 to Windows 10 upgrade thing, it messes up in addition to the making everything this 16 byte aligned. I'm trying to see if there's any other differences in there. Just because I know that you said that we wanted to probably make the engine a little bit more stable and robust with the across the different OSs. So that's something I'm still looking into. And I'll let you know by the end of the break if I find anything. All right. Thanks again, Ed, and I will see you next year.